Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello. Are we live? All right. Give it a couple minutes for some folks to trickle in here. Skipping the countdown on this momentous day in the progressive movement. Do. Press the like button, press the share button. Get this out to more people. Jamal Bowman, Jen Perlman. Okay. $45. All right. 52 watching. Howdy. Woohoo. Press the share button, press the like button. Can you hear me? You can hear me. Wonderful. Smash the like button. Big progressive victories last night. So we'll be talking about that. We have a special guest on as well. So looking forward to that. Live guest. We're doing more live interviews thanks to this new computer. Hello from India. Hello, Ashwan. Thank you, Mike Thompson, getting us started in the Super Chat. We could use your Super Chats. And as a reminder, folks, I'll be showing this a lot. We're trying to hit the road next week. So if you got a story related to the coronavirus, particularly an economic story, and you live in this general vicinity of America, i.e. the East Coast, email info@statusquo.com. That's info@statusquo.com. We're going to hit the road next week, try to interview folks who are economically harmed, devastated, and whatnot due to COVID. So there you go. Email us info@statusquo.com. I'm going to wait till we get a couple more viewers and then I'm going to start. So press the share button, press the like button. Let me make sure we are on live on Periscope and Twitch. Yep. AOC and the squad have done nothing as the kids in the cage. Jeff, I don't know if that's fair. You do need the numbers before you could do something. Okay. So last night we had I would say pretty good night if you are a progressive in the United Corporations of America. As I've been saying for a while, I will criticize AOC. I will criticize Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Ro Khanna, Bernie Sanders when necessary. But the truth is, they could only do so much unless you have the numbers to actually start blocking a lot of this corporate Democrat, essentially the enabling of the corporate Democrats. You've seen the graphic before. Nancy Pelosi has been driving the getaway car as Trump and McConnell robbed the Treasury. The Democrats have been enabling the Republicans for decades to loot the Treasury, and at times it's the reverse, and the Democrats have been looting the Treasury with the Republicans driving the getaway car. So every single progressive victory makes a difference because it's one step closer to actually getting the numbers to start blocking these corporate Democrats. And remember, smash that like button. Got 100 people watching right now. 77 of you have pressed the like button. If you don't know, tonight is our members call. So you could join us on our members call at 7:30 Eastern time. That's 4:30 Pacific. So we look forward to having our call with our members tonight, discussing these progressive victories, among other things. So statusquo.com/join. Join us as a member before tonight, and you'll get the link to join our Zoom call. Right now, we are at 1,781 members. So that graphic, couple extra that we actually have. We're at 1,781 members. So maybe we can get back up to 1,800 by the time of the members call tonight. Also have an interview later with Lee Camp of Redacted Tonight. Also interviewing Andrew Romanoff, the progressive candidate in Colorado. for Colorado Senate. Also believe I'm going to be interviewing some folks who were part of the Seattle Autonomous Zone a little bit later. So a lot to do, a lot to do. Jen, where's Jen? Can you send out a text? ASAP. So, keep it coming. Smash that like button. Sorry, I'm not much of a joiner. That's okay, D. Lawrence. Your loss. If you don't want to join, you'll miss out on the fun of the members call tonight. Oh, before I get to last night's victory, we are now, what is that? $405 away. $405 away from hitting $110,000 raised. And once we hit $110,000 raised in the GoFundMe, then we will be $10,000 away from the ultimate goal. So if you got a couple bucks, if you're feeling groovy after this progressive victory last night, the progressive victories last night, drop us a couple bucks in the GoFundMe. We appreciate it. So let me make sure we're live on Twitter. I skipped the countdown, so it's the final countdown. Status quo. All right. So last night, the ones we know about are Jamaal Bowman, pretty much walloped Elliot Engel in the 16th District of New York. Let's show you the results that we do have there. 222. So won by, this looks like 25 points. So to tell you the truth, it's going to be a lot of hot takes about this. But to me, one of the main reasons Jamaal Bowman was victorious was actually seizing on gifts that his opponent gave him and actually being aggressive. And when I say Jamaal Bowman, there has been criticisms of the Justice Democrats, but he was a Justice Democrat candidate, just like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was a Justice Democrats candidate. So Justice Democrats, if you want to criticize them on things, that's fine. But hey, give them credit for this victory. Obviously, he was aided, I believe, by the explosion of civil rights protests going around in the country, this reckoning we're having with racism, police brutality, those kind of things. Former principal, African-American, who himself has been the victim of police harassment and brutality. But he saw a surge in recent weeks because his opponent, Elliot Engel, started saying some really stupid shit. Demonetized, swear jar. And Elliot Engel and the Justice Democrats went on the attack against Elliot Engel. They started running, attack ads against Elliot Engel for saying, I wouldn't care about speaking unless I had a primary challenger. Obviously, there was the story of Elliot Engel basically hiding out in Maryland instead of being in his district in New York during the height of the coronavirus. But Jamaal Bowman, in many ways, did the opposite of what Bernie did. Jamaal Bowman saw vulnerability in his opponent and went for the political jugular. Justice Democrats and Working Families Party and other groups ran lots of television ads, specifically in that district, pointing Elliot Engel as an out-of-touch corporate Democrat who only cares about certain issues because he's up for a primary, and basically looked like an old politician stuck in the 1980s. And voters broke from him in a large numbers towards the end of this race. And because Jamaal Bowman went on the attack, he then got media coverage. The media started covering Jamaal Bowman going after Engel for the hot mic moment. I wouldn't care unless I had a primary, this and that. Now, obviously, a congressional race in the 16th District of New York is a lot different than the national presidential race. But can you imagine if Bernie Sanders would have ran some negative ads at Joe Biden after Joe Biden at private fundraisers told Wall Street donors, nothing's going to change. Nothing at all will fundamentally change if you vote for me. If Bernie would have hit the airwaves in key states, then that is called going on the offense. That is called going for your opponent's political jugular. That puts your opponent, in that case Biden, on the defensive, and the media would then cover it. Sure, the media would say, Bernie, negative ads, because the media doesn't like when progressives go on the attack, as we're seeing now establishment Dems in Colorado are in a tizzy because Andrew Romanoff, the progressive challenger for Colorado Senate facing John Hickenlooper, I'm interviewing him later, by the way, is doing, quote, negative ads. But it works. And as I wrote in my campaign postmortem on Bernie Sanders, part of the issue was he would only go so far in terms of attacking his opponent. So, Jamaal Bowman, hey, if your opponent gives you room to attack, you attack. And they did great ads, not only on what Jamaal Bowman was for and his story, which was a great story, but also showing Elliot Engel was out of touch. Elliot Engel was only in the district now because he was up for a primary, and using Elliot Engel's own words. So there are lessons to be learned for progressives nationally. No more, my opponent is my friend. No more, I only want to win on the issues. No, when your opponent gives you a gift, you take it and you go after him or her hard. Let's play Jamaal Bowman's words from last night.
We live in a country where, despite our financial wealth, we have tens of millions of children still living in poverty. And as an educator working for the Department of Education for 20 years, I've seen the impact of poverty on the lives of our kids each and every day. And poverty is not a result of children and families who don't work hard. Our children and families work as hard as anyone else. Poverty is by political design. And it's rooted in a system that has been fractured and corrupt and rotten from its core from the inception of America, especially over the last several decades. So poverty and the impact of poverty on our children and dealing with issues of institutional racism and sexism and classism and xenophobia and everything that keeps the majority of us oppressed is what we designed this campaign to fight against. So tonight, as we celebrate, we don't just celebrate me as an individual. We celebrate this movement, a movement designed to push back against a system that's literally killing us. It's killing black and brown bodies disproportionately, but it's killing all of us. It's killing us mentally, psychologically, and spiritually. It's forcing us to live in a country and in a world where so many people are hopeless and have lost faith, not just in the political system, but in each other. But our movement is designed to restore that faith, to restore that hope, to bring back the belief in what is possible, to root our values in everything we do. Values of humanity, equality, and justice. Values that will center us fighting for those who are disenfranchised.
He also said that he was looking forward to going to Congress and causing trouble. So that's good. Also, I didn't get the chance to cover him, but Mondaire Jones was victorious, another progressive, openly gay man. So I believe he and one other candidate will be the first openly gay African-American Congress people, if I have that correct, which is great news. So he won in pretty convincing fashion here in an open seat in New York's 17th district. He's, again, 25 points he won by. So huge victory. Mondaire Jones from my read for Medicare for All, for a Green New Deal, among other things, and obviously pretty strong on racial issues. So that's two more progressives to join. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to join Rashida Tlaib if she wins re-election, which there will be have to be a lot of resources put on trying to protect her seat. You Ilhan Omar, Ro Khanna, who I've had some issues with, but overall pretty reliable progressive vote. Pramila Jayapal. Two doesn't sound like a lot, but you need, every single progressive victory amounts a stronger progressive bloc. Way more progressive bodies than Bernie Sanders has ever had in the Senate to actually go on the offense against Pelosi and these corporate Democrats, to actually stop them from going along with Republicans and enabling the looting and the theft of our treasury. Kind of a surprise. It's definitely not. It's not final yet. But Lauren Ashcraft, who I have interviewed, her race, Lauren was a distant third place. Pretty common first time running. She did get 13% of the vote. But Suraj Patel, right now, it is Carolyn Maloney has not been declared the winner. Carolyn Maloney replaced Elijah Cummings after his death as the chairwoman of the Oversight Committee. She's been in Washington for way too long. A reliable Nancy Pelosi corporate Democrat. Currently, Patel is down a little over, I can't do the math, but 600 votes. This race was not expected to be that close. So the race has not been called. The final votes, including mail-in ballots, won't be in probably until June 30th. So there is a potential for Patel to win over Carolyn Maloney. I would not put Suraj Patel in the same category as Jamaal Bowman or Suraj Patel, Jamaal Bowman or Mondaire Jones or Charles Booker. I mean, if you look at his website, his calling card is having worked for Obama. But according to his positions, he's for Medicare for all. According to his positions, he's for a Green New Deal. So these are good things. From what I've seen and heard, again, I've never interviewed him. I haven't looked thoroughly into him. He's definitely more progressive than Carolyn Maloney. So on the grand scheme of things, he would be a more reliable vote than Carolyn Maloney to go with progressives. But he was not as progressive as Lauren Ashcraft. I see him as progressive-ish, I guess you could say, until I do more research. But again, even that was not expected to be that close. So something's going on, at least in New York progressive circles, because you have three races where two that progressives won in convincing fashion, and another one where a progressive might upset. And let me give you an update on, obviously, the race nationally people were looking at. This is a couple hours ago from MSNBC as far as Charles Booker.
Results still coming in, but what do you have for us?
Yeah, some interesting things. Let's start in Kentucky. This race, perhaps the most high profile. Amy McGrath, of course, national Democrats initially got very excited about her when she got in this race, trying to get the Democratic nomination to take on Mitch McConnell in Kentucky. Charles Booker, a state representative, a late entrant into the race, was seen as a big underdog. Here's what we've got. You see about 10% roughly of all the votes we expect have been counted. What's been counted so far is some of the counties in Kentucky have released the votes that people cast in person yesterday. So folks who went out to the polls, voted yesterday, some of the counties in Kentucky have released those numbers. And of those numbers, that's where McGrath right now has a 4-point edge over Booker. Notably, no votes from yesterday came out of Louisville, Jefferson County. A quarter of all the vote in this primary is going to come from Jefferson County. That is Charles Booker's base. If there are no votes coming in from Louisville and he's within 4 points of McGrath, that is a good sign for him. Also, there are barely any votes that have been reported from the Lexington, the other population center, Fayette County it's called. So again, that's expected to be strong for Booker. Not a lot of votes from his strongest, biggest areas, and he's within 4 points on the same day. The other issue here in Kentucky is all of those mail-in votes. Those haven't even been touched yet. Those have been coming in. They were postmarked by yesterday. They'll still be counted. So there's a lot more to come. We're probably not going to know officially for a week. But again, I think the most notable thing here is the votes that are coming in right now. Booker's two strongest areas not really represented in these votes, and he's within 4, at least on the same day. Make of that what you will. Then there's also this question, New York. A number of veteran members of Congress, Democratic.
So I'm not going to be a political procrastinator or pundit. Thank you for the super chat. Chuck Zlatkin, $12. Bowman did what it took to win. Sanders didn't. Bowman wanted to win. Sanders wanted to be in office. Big difference. I agree in part. Christopher Stewart, $2 in the super chat. I appreciate it, Christopher. By the way, we got almost 300 people watching right now. So make sure you smash that like button. We really appreciate it. We would love, before our members call tonight, hint, hint, to hit $110,000 raised. So if you got a couple bucks, drop it in the GoFundMe. We would very much appreciate it. We are currently working on booking some interviews for our road trip that we want to take next week. We're loosely calling it the COVID Depression road trip, the silent Great Depression that is in our midst. So we're going to be leaving from New York and driving wherever the story takes us. So if you have a story, Colin, if you're listening, maybe update this graphic. Just put info@statuscoup.com. We've gotten a couple submissions, but we will literally be driving around interviewing viewers and others who are being economically devastated by this coronavirus. So I don't see a lot of other outlets doing that, and we want to show the true face and the true victims. Obviously, the victims are who have died, but the living victims are who are going to be, trapped in this depression with Congress. We're a month away from unemployment lapsing, when a lot of Americans still haven't been able to get unemployment, even though they're eligible. I don't see another $1,200 check coming your way, which frankly is not even enough. Republicans don't look like they're doing much, and the Democrats look focused very much on comatose Joe Biden's campaign. So I think we're in trouble, and we want to get out on the road now. So if you're on the East Coast of America, the Midwest, Southeast, email us info@statuscoup.com if you or your family have a compelling story to share. So before we have a special guest who we're going to talk about, who I think could be the next progressive upset congressionally. I want to show you, just take a guess what MSNBC's reaction to the progressive victories last night was.
On Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell in November is too close to call right now between Amy McGrath and Charles Booker. McGrath leads by about 2,000 votes at this point. They're still counting. In New York, 2 Democratic incumbent seats could be in jeopardy in the state's 12th congressional district primary. Democratic incumbent Carolyn Maloney, who chairs the Oversight Committee, is narrowly leading challenger Shiraj Patel. And in New York's 16th congressional district, Democratic primary, longtime Congressman Eliot Engel, who chairs the Foreign Affairs Committee, trails progressive Jamaal Bowman there. Casey, what are the surprises you see in these races and Democratic races across the country last night?
So I think it's tempting to read this as, progressives have, voters are looking for somebody that's more progressive, that's not part of the establishment. I think it's a little bit of a mistake to look at it that way. I think it's a rejection of the calcification of our politics, of people that have been in office for decades. In many cases, the Kentucky race is fascinating, and we still have a lot of counting to do in that race. It really could right now go either way. But the turnout in that primary election shattered previous records. And Charles Booker was someone who caught on to this last-minute energy, really was a part of the protests that were swelling in Louisville around Black Lives Matter. And I think really showed how you don't have to operate inside the systems that have been built again. And
it shows the calcification of, my mother's here again. Love it, love it, love it. Do for Mama Sheridan, leave a super chat. So what's amazing about this is, first of all, do you think that, let's say the roles were reversed and Eliot Engel was up 25 points on Jamaal Bowman, do you think that MSNBC would be reporting it as Jamaal Bowman trails Eliot Engel? Or do you think they would just call the race like other other pundits and election observers have just called the race? He's up by 25 points. It is really not possible. I mean, it's technically possible, but highly, highly doubtful that with mail-in ballots coming in, that Eliot Engel is going to make up 25 points. But MSNBC reports it as, he's trailing by 25 points. Let me tell you something. This shows the bias and the propaganda of MSNBC and others. They would be declaring it over if Eliot Engel was up by 10 points. But he's down by 25, trailing. Got to appreciate that extra caution when it's one of your club that's losing. Thank you, Christopher Stewart, $20 in the super chat. Just remember, we will never truly have our votes and voices heard until the money is forced from the politician's hand. Money in politics is the #1 problem in America. I've been saying that for years, since I was at the Young Turks. That's one thing I still agree with Cenk and what they do over there. Money at politics is the root of all evil. It affects everything from police brutality to climate change to the military-industrial complex to labor to you name it, and obviously politics. Thank you for the $20 in the GoFundMe, Catherine Garrett, getting us started. We are now, what is that, $485 away, $485 away from hitting our $110,000 mark. The other thing that I find interesting that MSNBC's takeaway here is, yeah, it's just, candidates wanting to get rid of people that have been, that have been in Washington for so long. Well, that's certainly not the narrative they've been using with Joe Biden. When Joe Biden defeated Bernie Sanders, which obviously everybody has a hot take on why Biden won, they didn't say anything about, Biden has been in Washington for almost 50 years, and people just want to get rid of it. No, on that one, it's people just don't want to elect progressives. People just, the majority thinks it's too risky to put a progressive as the Democratic nominee. The roles are reversed. When a progressive wins, it's not because progressive ideas are flourishing. It's not because voters are starting to look at the establishment candidates as out of touch. It's not because voters are starting to realize, wow, these establishment candidates give a lot of lip service, but don't really show up in our districts for our needs. When a progressive beats the establishment, it's not because of the actual issues. It's just because, Engel's been out there for too long, and that's, people just wanted to change. I think that's part of why Jamaal Bowman wiped the floor with Eliot Engel. But again, Jamaal Bowman did what Bernie Sanders failed to do, which was go on the attack when your opponent gave you ample opportunity to go on the attack. And God knows, Joe Biden gave Bernie Sanders opportunity after opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to go after him. And for all the reasons we've talked about here for a long, long time, he chose not to. By the way, since I'm speaking about MSNBC, I should show off my shirt, MSDNC. I forget, somebody sent me this. I would love to give them credit, but I forget. It was a company that sent me this. So if you're watching and you sent me the shirt, please take credit. Ashwin Bandor, 40, don't know what currency that is, but hopefully legal. Thank you, Ashwin, for the 40-something. Really appreciate it. So, one more thing. When you look at it, again, we don't have all the results, but you got AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, now you got Jamaal Bowman, Mondaire Jones, Pramila Jayapal, Ro Khanna, Mark Pocan. You got about 10 to 12 now, pretty reliable lefties. You might have Patel if he is able to upset Carolyn Maloney. I wouldn't put him in the same category, but he says he's for Medicare for all. He says he's for a Green New Deal. I haven't covered him enough, so I can't safely say that he's a hardcore progressive. But the bottom line is, as Alex points out, the Freedom Caucus had 9 founding members. Now it's up to 34. So I know progressives have been frustrated after 2016. After 2018, that it was only Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Now in 2020, after Bernie lost again. But we're starting to get the foundation. You're starting to get the foundation of the coalition that you would need to then get up to the numbers you really need to block corporate Democrats and to finally take leadership and start going on offense instead of just blocking things. But part of what progressives need is the numbers to block things. Thank you, Joshua Jenkins, $5. Frightening how they look down on the younger generations, so they resort to pandering. Couldn't agree more. So I want to get to, we'll get back to the results from last night, but I want to get to a race because I think there's more opportunities for progressive upsets and adding to progressive victories. So work with me for a second because I'm doing this live. Hold on. Hey, Jen.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I'm bringing you in live, so hold on one second. And Jen. We'll see if I can do this live. I think I can. All right. There we go. Sorry, folks. Don't have the production of 60 Minutes, but Here we go. Shift option. Wow, I'm proud of myself. Okay, I think cool. So I think people could hear you and see you. So Jen, I wanted to talk to you today because first, let me get your reaction to last night. Pretty impressive in New York. We don't know yet in Kentucky. For those in the audience that don't know, Jennifer Pearlman running in the 23rd district against Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who's been in there, I think, going on almost 20 years. I think she got elected in 2004. Everybody knows Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Tim Canova lost to her by 14 points in 2016. There was, in my view, election fraud, but 14 points, manageable. And frankly, I think Jen brings things that he didn't. So what do you think about last night before we get to where your race is at?
I think it was promising. I feel pretty decent about it. I mean, look, I was most closely watching the New York race with Jamaal Bowman and Elliot Engel, and I was really happy about that. He's a Slate mate, so I'm rooting for him. And I'm still hoping that there's some chance for Kentucky to turn it around and have Charles Booker be their nominee.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you woke up early enough to watch MSNBC's spin, but I just played a clip that they seem to think it's not really about like the progressive issues starting to become more mainstream or Elliot Engel being a corporatist out of touch. It's just that voters are starting to just want change and want these old people who have been in there for too long out. So they were kind of playing down anything having to do with Bowman, progressive bona fides, Medicare for all. Obviously, he's been a victim of police brutality that he made a point. What do you think in terms of, obviously, it's a district in New York, but, I mean, it encompasses Westchester, by the way, which is a pretty wealthy neighborhood. I mean, looks like he's going to win by 25 points. So what do you attribute to these victories in New York and elsewhere?
I'm thankful for the revolution. I think it's awesome. So, first of all, I have to say I don't watch MSNBC, and the only reason I normally even get that news is because of people like you. So I haven't watched you yet today, so I don't really know what exactly has been going on. So let me say that. But I think it's more than obviously MSNBC is ever going to acknowledge. They're never going to actually look at why would people want change? Why would that be? I don't know. So I think the tides are turning. I think there's becoming more younger people than older people. This is definitely a very generational divide. And, I think people are just, they're tired of it. But it's more the people that are young that are tired of what they've seen than it is the old people that are the ones that want to keep the status quo.
Mm-hmm. And part of why I wanted you on is honestly, I see a couple more races that could be very close. Missouri, Cori Bush, who hopefully I'll interview soon. But you have till August for the primary there. Wasserman Schultz, yes, that district, which I covered in 2016 in person, tends to be a little bit older, tends to vote a little bit more establishment. But there is a pretty significant number of Latinos, African Americans, I think college students. And from what I've heard, anecdotally, people might be open to a change there too. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, other than, verbally, criticizing Governor Ron DeSantis, obviously Florida is kind of becoming New York right now as far as the coronavirus pandemic. I haven't seen her propose anything really bold for the economic devastation. I haven't seen her propose anything bold economically in 20 years, really. And I think even that district, which tends to be a little bit more establishment, are you getting feedback that people are looking for a change there?
I am amongst the people I talk, that I speak with, but I tend to talk with people that are outside of the periphery of what has been the norm. So a lot of her audience and her target are people that I know those people. I'm a second generation native Jew to South Florida. I'm very familiar with those people. I've actually been focusing on not those people for this and really bringing in people from outside. So to them, yeah, they have never felt included in the process in the first place. But, I don't see her as proposing anything. I don't see her, certainly not for regular people. So, over the past few weeks, she just had a webinar on childhood drowning. She had one on internet predators. She has not, since this pandemic started, even talked about what regular people need or what small businesses need in general. So the best way to deflect from that.
Florida at one point was like the epicenter of the foreclosure crisis many years ago from the 2008 financial crash. But Florida, heavily based on tourism, that's going to be a problem I think they had like over 5,000 new cases yesterday. Every day is like a record new number. And Debbie Wasserman Schultz, it seems, is kind of going the national party playbook, which is to have before nothing, just call Governor DeSantis, like Trump, the Antichrist, how they botched this, which they have. But in your district, what are you seeing? Because it is an older, a lot of Jewish people. What are you seeing in terms of the people you've spoken to? What are they looking for now? Because in the past, it just looked like when I was down there, we're just Team Blue and are going to vote for who we know.
You're talking in terms of my race, not
your race.
Okay. Yeah, I am meeting more and more people that are more and more fed up. So whether or not it's based on anything from their economic position to what's going on right now with the policing and criminal justice, or whatever the particular person's issue is, with the young people, it's very heavily climate related. Most of my young people, that's how I got them, is through Sunrise Movement. But for whatever reason, people are just feeling angst. They're feeling angst and they're feeling unsettled. And when people feel unsettled, I think it opens up the possibility for a change, because what people don't like about change is that it's unsettling. But right now, so many people are unsettled that it's like an opening for change. So it's really been interesting. And yeah, there's still those tried and true old school. They like it how they like it. And for the most part, those people don't have any angst in their life. Mm-hmm. When everything is fine with the way if your life is perfectly fine, why would you want anything to change? But now we have such an increasing amount of people that do want that because their lives are unsettled. So I think it gives it puts more people on our team.
Mm-hmm. And where is Debbie? I feel like she's in the witness protection program. I rarely see her on MSNBC and CNN anymore. I don't really see her in the news that much. Has she taken the Joe Biden basement strategy, or does she just? I just don't see her much where she used to be.
Yeah, I see her enough. She's around. If I were looking at this from an outsider perspective and it wasn't on that I was in it, I would say, yeah, it kind of looks like she's just staying low. She's not a stupid person. So she knows that when she's public, she sees all the negative comments. She knows that she's disliked. So she knows that. She doesn't particularly care, but she knows it. So I do think she avoids, being in the spotlight. And I think that a big thing for her right now is she's trying to pretend that I don't exist and this race doesn't exist. So she is walking a very fine line, because on the one hand, she has to get her voters out to come out and vote in a primary. But on the other hand, then they're going to know that there's somebody else running, or why is she running in a primary? And so she's been sort of straddling this for about 6 months now. And it's finally coming to where she has to acknowledge we exist. I found out she was doing polling last week. I've been pushing buttons. I've been poking at that bear. And so I'm trying to get something, but she's too smart to really do that. And that's one thing in her favor, I suppose.
And let me ask you, because 2016, ballots were destroyed. The supervisor of elections ended up being fired later. Obviously, you were seeing in Kentucky yesterday. I mean, it was just visually. You see black people banging on the window to try to get in to vote. How confident are you in the actual credibility of elections in South Florida, particularly amid coronavirus? Florida being as high a case count now, yeah, there will be expansion of mail-in voting, but we do know there has been shenanigans down there. We also know that Debbie Wasserman Schultz has her tentacles in just about every part of Democratic Party Florida politics.
I wish I could say that I was very confident that everything is under control, but I am not. I feel like everybody else. I will say that we do have a new supervisor of elections that's different from who there was in 1816, who was a friend of Debbie's. So we do have what I would consider to be an infinitely more impartial supervisor of elections. I've met him. He's a very, very competent person. That doesn't mean that there aren't means to do voter suppression that would just benefit the establishment in general, not necessarily her versus me, and it might not even have anything to do with my race. It could just be, we could be collateral damage. So I'm not particularly confident, but we are encouraging everybody to request their mail-in ballot, because my concern logistically is exactly what happened in Kentucky. You know, let's say you have 500 polling places and then you shut it down to 50 polling places. That's the kind of stuff that could legitimately be COVID related, that they can't get enough people to work the polls. It could be the kind of thing that is an underhanded plotted thing. Regardless, if everybody requests a mail-in ballot, then we could at least have that security of knowing that we're not losing polling places is not going to affect us.
Right. And the other element too is, I don't know, I was talking about this yesterday, but I mean, unemployment benefits expire at the end of July. A large portion of Americans have not gotten the unemployment benefits that they're supposed to have had. The $1,200 crumb cake check that people got was spent in 10 seconds. I don't see the Republicans agreeing to another thing like that. And right now it seems like Democrats are basically just all in for Joe Biden, not really talking about what comes next. In New York and other states, eviction moratoriums are already starting to peel back. So the economic conditions, doesn't look like Trump could be surprised, but doesn't look like he's going to go any further left economically, or the Republicans. So the economic conditions could get a lot worse down there in Florida and elsewhere.
I am fully expecting to be seeing shanty towns popping up all over the place down here. And I am fully expecting to see infinitely more violence, unfortunately. I think that while I am not a proponent of violence, unfortunately, power concedes nothing. And it's just a matter of this is the direction that people are being pushed into in desperate situations. So I think it's going to get really ugly before it gets better. I don't think that, and certainly here with our governor, Ron DeSantis, our unemployment situation is a complete nightmare. I get emails from people every day wanting me to help them. I wish I could. I wish there was a way I could help. They just want help navigating the system. They're not even asking for more than their crumbs. They just want to try to figure out how to get their crumbs. And I don't know how much of that somebody like Debbie would have real control over, but she's certainly not really ringing the bells and sounding alarms to really fight on behalf of the people as much as just criticizing the governor. So it's like, okay, but what are you doing in the meantime? So our campaign is a service campaign. So we are out there distributing food, giving out masks, giving out sanitizers. And no, it's not fixing the unemployment problem, because that's not within our control to fix that, but it's providing a service and relief. And that's what we need to be doing right now, I think, as anybody that's in a public position. That's what we need to be doing. We could sit here and be bad-mouthing DeSantis forever. It doesn't mean it's going to fix the system. I can't go up to Tallahassee and fix their unemployment system.
You're talking about representing people? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, I am. And actually, it's fascinating because I've been doing it even not as a representative. So imagine what could be done if you actually were the representative.
Right. And I'd also like to bring up, because Lee Camp has been talking about this. I'm interviewing him later. But we're seeing what's going on with COVID right now. This, I don't want to diminish it because it's obviously a disaster for a lot of people, kind of pales in comparison to what's coming once the climate refugees get here, once Miami's underwater, and parts, unfortunately, where you are looking to represent.
I'm on high ground. I'm on the highest point in Broward County. I'm good.
Well, my point is, the climate disaster is, I don't want to say coming because it's really already here. I mean, the Arctic was just at 100 degrees. And, you're not going to really be able to do temporary shutdowns then and then contact trace, right? I mean, it's so like that. And Debbie Wasserman Schultz takes a whole lot of money from the fossil fuckers, in addition to big sugar. I don't want to get you in trouble. That's my term. But in addition to Big Sugar and Payday Lending and all these agencies. So the bottom line is she is part of the problem that's going to lead to the more permanent pandemic, which is the climate catastrophe.
Right, which it was why it was so entertaining on Friday morning when I had my joint interview with her at the Sun Sentinel. It was the closest I'll ever get to debating her. And this is why it was so amusing watching her talking about the importance of coming down on police brutality when she takes the highest amount from police packs out of all the Democrats. But no, we're in for a rude awakening. And specifically down here, we just entered hurricane season. So when you want to talk about the real effects of refugees and climate crisis, all it's going to take is a Category 5 hitting us right now, and we're toast. So I get that. And it is definitely going to get worse before it's going to get better. And at this point, I don't even know that it can be fixed. But I certainly feel an obligation to do everything we can to mitigate damages and make it as, dealable for everybody as possible and keep this planet as nice as it can be, at least to the best of our ability at this point. I mean, are we inevitably going to be gone? Possibly. I mean, the dinosaurs were here longer than we've been here. And, we're very arrogant. We think we're so self-important, like somehow we're going to ruin the whole thing. But I do think that we have an obligation to take care of it as best we can, certainly for the people that are here.
Mm-hmm. And let me ask you, because before this resurgence in the Black Lives Matter movement, part of your campaign has been about private prisons, legalizing marijuana, decriminalization of a lot of these crimes. What has been your thoughts seeing this really awakening, not just with police brutality, but you're seeing media, a lot of black journalists now bringing up problems with media diversity, white editors making decisions. We're seeing diversity in government, racism in sports. I mean, across the board. And that has been part of your campaign before this protest movement sparked.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, one of the things that I loved coming out of law school was doing criminal defense, and I've always been very anti-capital punishment. I've always had issues with the criminal justice system in general, and I feel like every day of my life I'm finding more and more wrong with it. And just when I think I couldn't find something else wrong with it, there's something else wrong with it. And essentially, it's just a completely racist, white supremacist system built on top of another. And it's not even a matter of there's good cops. There are good cops. I know them. I've met them. There's lots of people that actually go into law enforcement that want to protect and serve. The problem is the system is completely corroded that they're working within. And so decent cops actually, if they are whistleblowers, they don't last long. So the system is just, it's a disaster. And as much as I feel for people who don't like the civil unrest, it's necessary. And it's unfortunate that the conditions have to get to the point where they do before this happens. But I kind of feel like bring on the revolution. I do. This has been well needed for a long time. I always thought, if growing up, if I were black, I would have been in prison. There is no way. So to me, it's when people start talking about stuff and saying things like Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization or whatever it is they want to call them. I'm thinking, if Black Lives Matter was a terrorist organization, we'd be finding white bodies hanging in trees. So this needs to happen, and it needs to predominantly be coming from white people.
Right. And lastly, to me, I mean, I've had some criticisms of AOC, Rashida Tlaib, Ro Khanna, which I think is healthy. You shouldn't idolize any politician. But the truth is, the progressive bloc in Congress just does not have the numbers that the Tea Party had to really create a shitstorm. They haven't really had the numbers to block anything Pelosi has tried to do. So if you are elected, what do you think in terms of joining this progressive bloc? Is the goal to just block what the corporate Democratic establishment has done? Or is it to continue to basically, a giant extinction project to take over? Because it seems like we're doing this piecemeal, like every congressional season, maybe 2 or 3 victories. So what would be the goal if you're elected, along with Jamaal Bowman, Mondaire Jones, and possibly some others?
Obviously, day one is signing on to all the legislation that's sitting there that needs more signatures. Okay, so like first and foremost, let's like push with the good Medicare for all that Pramila Jayapal already has sitting there. And I think it's important for people to understand that this is a chipping away process. It's not even after 2020, even if the best case scenario from every primary going forward, it's still not enough numbers to really do anything right now. And I think people need to be realistic about that. But that's not the power. The power is in getting everybody else, whether it's within your own district or as far as you can spread your platform and your message, to start coming along and getting on board and getting more and more of us. So it needs to be used more as a recruitment situation and really promoting things at the local level. Like for me, I'm very about promoting our local small businesses here. It's about using your platform and your voice to get as many people on your team as you can get on your team. It's like what Bernie used to say about, even if I get in office, there's no just Medicare for all. I will have to go around and I will have to be campaigning and I will have to be all of us getting more and more people in the positions of power. So I think it's really more about getting people in that want to keep bringing other people in.
Mm-hmm. And where can people find out more? Tell us about, like, what are you really can't do anything in person right now with COVID. Florida, along with Texas, Arizona being the epicenter of COVID right now. So what are you doing for your campaign? I've been seeing you doing nightly live streams. I assume you need volunteers. How can people help?
We definitely need volunteers. Obviously, a big portion right now is phone banking, and it's a very easy thing to do. People can do it from wherever. Go on to gen2020.com. You can sign up to be a phone banker. We are doing limited canvassing, which is just consisting of door hangers and delivering yard signs, but we're not knocking and talking and doing what would be in our best interest to be doing. So we are relying very heavily on social media. So everybody like, follow, share. I'm at GenFL23 on Twitter and Instagram, and at Gen2020 on Facebook. And that's really what we need. And yeah, we need money. We need money. I'd encourage at this point, if anybody wants to be a monthly donor, we only have 2 more months, so it would be a really good time to be a monthly donor. And spread the word. That's what we need.
And the primary is August 17th?
August 18th.
August 18th.
August 18th.
Okay.
But more importantly, make sure everyone knows that they have to be registered as a Democrat by July 20th. That's the other thing. We have closed primaries.
Got it. Okay. So thank you, Jen. We'll be in touch before primary date for sure. And good luck.
Thanks so much, Jordan.
Okay. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. So that was Jen Bowman. I'm very proud of myself that I was able to bring her in live flawlessly. It's the first time I brought somebody in live, like on the fly. I'm not the most tech savvy. But I got to say, I mean, Tim Canova lost by 14 points in 2016. That might sound like a lot, but, you know, Debbie Wasserman Schultz has been in office for a very long time. 14 points can be made up in 4 years. Frankly, I think it helps, you know. I don't mean to be controversial. I think it helps that you got a female Jew running against Debbie Wasserman Schultz, because a lot of voters in that district are older Jews, part of my tribe. I mean, I might not be as old as them, but frankly, Jews tend to feel more comfortable voting for fellow members of their tribe. That's not the whole district, but some of them might give another look to a younger Jewish woman over Debbie Wasserman Schultz. So we will definitely follow this, because I think Jen would be a strong addition to Jamaal Bowman, Mondaire Jones, Jen Perelman. So we'll definitely follow her race. If it's safe, maybe go down there. Thank you, Kelly Elaine, $10 in the GoFundMe. Thank you, Susan, $20 in the GoFundMe. So we're now $455 away. And for those of you that came in late, we are currently soliciting. Colin made a new one. Hold on. We are currently soliciting. Can't find it. Currently soliciting guests to interview on a road trip we want to do next week. So right now we're keeping it to the East Coast. Midwest, Southeast, to take a road trip, and we're calling it the COVID depression because I think there is a bit of a silent depression going on right now that is not being covered. We're not seeing the faces of those economically devastated. We might be seeing the lines of people waiting online for unemployment, but we're not hearing the stories. So Status Quo, as always, wants to get out there and tell people stories. So if you live in this general part of America, I don't know the exact path we'll be taking, but we'll definitely be hitting a couple states. So email info@statusquo.com. That's info@statusquo.com. Myself, Jen, I think, is going to come with us. So she'll be doing some interviews, and email us your story, you, your family, if you know of anything going on in your community. That's info@statusquo.com, and we are going to try and hit as many states as possible safely. We definitely think we'll probably do mostly interviews outside, which is obviously better than inside with a pandemic going on. Wear a mask, all that good stuff. So email us if you have a compelling story. We're not fooling around. We're ready to hit the road as soon as next week. So info@statusquo.com. I did something kind of similar to that when I was at the Young Turks. Anat is also putting Status Quo swag in the store. And you're right, my math was wrong. We are $345 away. I had it wrong. $345 away from hitting $110,000. Let me go to the Status Quo store so people could see. I don't do a good job really of promoting this. So go to statusquo.com. Right there at the top, click on store for your summer needs. If you want Status Quo tea, if you want a Status Quo tote bag, which Anat has a nice one. If you want a Status Quo pillow, Status Quo mug for your coffee. I need to get one of those. Phone covers, yoga pants or running pants, tea for the beach, but don't go to the beach if you're in a hot zone right now. Poster, I think that is.
Pillows are cute.
The pillows are very cute. I want one for the couch. So a lot of cool stuff at the Status Quo store. Another way for us to earn some money the right way. So definitely check it out. I'll put the link in the super chat. So let's see. Jordan, do not risk your health anymore at the moment. Paul, I appreciate your concern. Here's my thoughts, Paul. Does anybody really know? Does anybody really know if you could get coronavirus twice? I don't know.
No, they don't, and they don't know how long the antibodies last.
Thank you, Lawrence Johnson. $10. So we're now $345 away. $345 away. So my thing is this, Paul. I have been interviewing recently protesters in close spaces. Yes, there was a lot of mask wearing, this and that. But for the most part, we'll be in our car driving. Yeah, we'll stop for food, this and that. Mostly drive-through, which, Anat's not going to love because not the best food. But, Swirly Swirl, I know I missed your super chat yesterday. So if you have 2 comments, I'm going to read this super chat, but I'll read whatever you wanted to say yesterday. My bad, I missed it. Do you have Status Quo magnets? We should get that. By the way, Jen just ordered 3 Status Quo masks for Jen, myself, and Jamaal to wear on the road. They're $20 each, so they're not cheap. So if we're going to get a ton of Status Quo masks, we'd probably have to charge you more than $20 because we then would have to pay for mailing too. But if you're interested in Status Quo masks, let us know. Maybe you could let us know in the members call tonight. Hint, hint. Got our members call tonight. So right now we are at 1,781. Let me update that. Hold on. Members call. Screen's going to go black for a second. Call. Recent. I don't know why nothing is. I got to talk to Colin about that. Because this stuff should be showing up, but it's not showing up on my desktop.
Someone asked if in the store it's a pillowcase or a Status Quo pillow.
I think it's a Status Quo pillow. Oh no, I think it's a pillowcase. I could be wrong though.
Usually it's the case.
It's probably a pillowcase, which is fantastic. Anyway, members call tonight, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. So join us as a member. Before then, you'll get a link to join our Zoom call. Always a lot of fun. We'll talk about the road trip tonight. We'll talk about pillowcases, whatever you want to talk about. We'll talk about it tonight. You can become a member for as low as $5 a month. This is how we grow. We have lost quite a lot of members because of coronavirus. Economically, hopefully not. 500. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that currency is, Ashwin. If you could let me know if that's $500, Ashwin, you and me are gonna have a thank you call. But I don't know. I don't know what the currency on that 500 is. Ashwin, all the best for your field trips, Jordan. I really appreciated you giving a voice to people of Flint, Michigan, and the disenfranchised. Thank you. I appreciate the donation, whatever currency that is. Thanks for the good words. Swirly Swirl, $10. Our loose group of concerned citizens in solidarity with BLM couldn't get a media outlet to report about our upcoming protests because we aren't an organization with an established hierarchy. Swirly Swirl, I think I saw your email to me about that. I was planning on covering that in a live stream because that's one of the most ridiculous emails I've ever seen from a news organization. Basically, the news organization was asking them, well, are you a declared organization? Do you have a hierarchy? Blah, blah, blah. So basically, you needed to be like some 501c3 or some big organization for them to give a damn to cover it. So I did get that email, Swirly Swirl. I was planning on covering it because I thought it was ridiculous. So I will cover it another time. So thank you for emailing that to me and the super chat. Really appreciate it. So, coronavirus twice. Yeah, I don't know if you can get it twice, but I also, status quo is not going to grow the way it needs to grow with me sitting here doing live streams from my apartment. And I'm just not the kind of person that could really stand sitting in an apartment for months and months, not getting out there. So we'll definitely be wearing masks. We don't plan on going, if we don't have to, going in anyone's house. We're certainly, going to try and, we just purchased another microphone, a microphone and an audio switcher, which, by the way, hint, hint, status GoFundMe cost us $1,500 for another microphone and audio switcher so we could have two microphones. So it's not just me having to hold my microphone up for 20 minutes as I interview somebody, but now we have two microphones and an audio switcher, so I don't have to be on top of the person I'm interviewing, and the audio will be fine. In the past, we've used two microphones, and yet we had a problem where it was only coming up in one ear or the other ear. Now it should be two ears. So that, all of this costs money, so we really appreciate your continued contributions. And we really want you, email us, info@statusquo.com. If you live in these states, if you have an economic story, you're on the hanging off a cliff economically, your family, your friends, your community, if you see corruption going on in your community having to do with COVID, if you were already hanging off a cliff before COVID and now you kind of have already fallen off the cliff, we want to speak with you. For those of you that followed me at the Young Turks, I did a little something like this back in 2016. The Disappearing Middle Class Tour. We went through the Rust Belt, interviewed really amazing people to really put a face to what Bernie was talking about, to really put a face to what the progressive movement is talking about. The quiet, the controlled demolition of the middle class that you will never see in corporate media. So that's what we're trying to do now. So definitely we need you. We need the stories. So send us your information. And yeah, I'm going to be careful, but I can't sit in the house. I'm not going to Florida or Arizona or Texas. But, Anat wants me to sit in the house.
You could go to Connecticut, New Jersey, New York, because those three states are not allowed.
I got to go where the story takes me, darling. I got to go where the story takes me. Yeah, Anthony, love you all from Detroit. See you on the road trip. Thank you, Anthony. Love you in Detroit. Dude, infection numbers rising and you will have to use restrooms, gas stations. Food could be contaminated, not worth it. Do Zoom meetings and see if these stories are compelling enough to get new peeps. Jen is vetting people that are sending in stories, so we're going to speak with them before we go. What can I say? Use restrooms, gas stations. I'm not going to say that. That's a little graphic. There's ways of peeing without using restrooms. Let me just say that.
Not for Jen.
That's true. That's true. Not for Jen. But we just gotta. I'm looking at the states that have high case counts, but
Low case count.
that have low case counts. but we gotta go. We gotta get out there, speak with the people.
No, you should listen to your audience.
And nobody's, I said to Jamaal, if you don't want to go, I get it. He wants to go. Lulu disagrees with you. Nah, he needs to get in the field. So I'm sorry. We'll talk about this more on the members call tonight. Hint, hint. And also, I want to talk to more of the candidates. We might go through West Virginia. So might interview Paula Jean Swearingen, who just won her primary. So Jordan could pass it on to me. Well, so far so good, right? I was just covering a bunch of protests you haven't gotten. You got the immune system of a rock. So stop trying to tame me.
People in the chat agree with me.
People in the chat are what?
Agreeing with me and
Oh, they're agreeing with you? Okay. Hold on. Okay. I am live now, so it was just and told me I'm live now, so it's just gonna Skype you in live. Cool. So Jordan does read the feedback. That's right. But honestly, we don't know when this is gonna end. So you can't be in your if I was a commentator like Jimmy or Kyle or whatever, it'd be a little different. But our business is based on in the field reporting. Obviously, we're not going to places with insanely high cases, but where cases are decreasing, where you could social distance, wear a mask, all those things. I think there are intelligent risks that could be taken. That's just the bottom line. So, life is risky. I agree, David. So, what are your thoughts on the progressive victories last night? Let us know in the super chat. I'll be interviewing Lee Camp a little bit later. I'll also be interviewing Andrew Romanoff, who is running in Colorado for the Senate seat there. Last poll showed him within 12 points of John Hickenlooper. So that would be a huge upset to then take on Cory Gardner. So I'll be interviewing him later. Right now, we're on the verge. Let me see what we're at here. We're on the verge of hitting 83,000 subscribers. So we have been growing finally. So if you're not a subscriber, click the subscribe button and then click the bell. We're at 82,927. So got less than 100 subscribers to go. Press that subscribe button. We really appreciate it. We just got a new Status Quo member. Woo! Thank you, new Status Quo member, Janet. So, Janet, you'll get the link to join our members only call tonight, 7:30 Eastern time, 4:30 Pacific. Again, you can become a member for as low as $5 a month. That's how we grow for the long term. GoFundMe is definitely a short term thing, but membership is how we grow for the long term. Jordan, your desk camera bouncy sometimes. Okay. Camera's looking good for me, so I don't know. Is it bouncy for a lot of you? Swirly Swirl, $5. Would you ever think about interviewing or do something with the Bew of the Fifth Column? As soon as you explain to me what the Bew of the Fifth Column is, I will consider it. Never heard of that. Not to be condescending, I just never heard of that. So let me know what that is for sure. Still waiting from Ashwin to tell me what that currency is. Rupee? So what's 500 rupee? $6. All right, I got excited, but that works. Where's rupee from? India?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. 6 rupee. Thank you. Thank you, Janet. Appreciate you joining. Reporting is a stronger biological imperative to Jordan than urination. He's got to go. I agree, Ryan. Thank you for that great analogy. We'll be safe. Don't worry. Not hugging people. Not going to be on top of people. Definitely not going to like really bad hot zones. So it'll be fine. But first, we need the stories. So again, email info@statusquo.com. If you have a story in this general vicinity, we want to hear from you. We definitely want to hear from you. So hit us in this part of the country. My back can't really take driving to California. So we'll probably stop like Midwest, Southeast, that general zone. Bew of the Fifth Column. Look them up. Okay, I'll look them up for sure. Let me see if I missed anything. Oh, yeah, 1 second. Did I miss any? Was there anything else I wanted to cover? 222. Senate Democrats. Stalling overhaul. I had a whole folder. Oh, Senate Democrats just blocked the Republican-drafted police reform bill. The Republican majority proposed the legislative equivalent of a fig leaf, something that provides a little cover but no real change. Oh, like Obamacare instead of Medicare for all. That's good. So Democrats are blocking the Republican police reform bill. I don't particularly care that much because I'm sure the Republican police reform bill is terrible in itself, but you just love what the Democrats are willing to fight for. Because yesterday, if you follow my Twitter, Joe Biden, who raised a hell of a lot of money off of Barack Obama yesterday, they did a little fundraiser. But Joe Biden, where was that tweet? Joe Biden, where are you? Here we go. I pointed out, because Joe Biden, in the middle of these important elections, in the middle of 30 million people have now lost their employer-sponsored health care, we need a president who will expand access to quality, affordable health care, not rip it away. Right. Not rip it away like 45 million people filing for unemployment, having their jobs ripped away. I mean, it's just this, like I said, this is big pharma talking points. We don't need more access. Everybody has access to healthcare. We need to actually be able to get it as a right of citizenship. Affordable healthcare cannot happen when you have for-profit health corporations at the helm. So basically what the Democratic Party is trying to do, and frankly, Trump is running a bad campaign right now. He is running again. He's running the same playbook in 2016, not realizing times have changed. Just running a race war is not going to work. Just running a culture war is not going to work. In this economic devastation, he needs to actually be a populist for at least for 6 months, pretend it. Whereas Joe Biden and the Democratic Party, they feel, and so far they've been right, they don't have to actually propose anything of substance. They could just propose the return to the good old days of corruption behind closed doors instead of in your face like Trump. And people will vote for them because people just want to get rid of Trump. It's really, really sad because we're going to have a huge economic depression. We're going to have probably more people losing their health insurance, and we have no real policies to face it. Maybe Joe Biden would do another type of stimulus similar to what Obama did, $750 billion stimulus plan that is heavily skewed towards tax cuts. Well, tax cuts not going to help you if you don't have a job. So, unfortunately, right now we got status quo Joe that looks like he's going to win over, KKK Trump. I want to get rid of KKK Trump, but status quo Joe doing it isn't not going to get me excited. Certainly not. And it really is telling that Joe Biden sees these progressive victories, but still will not move an inch on the most important issues of the day. When you have a pandemic that is still raging in hotspots around the country, when you have a pandemic that is ripping people's jobs away, tens of millions of people, ripping their health care away, more people are now without health care going to be hesitant to go to the doctor, going to be hesitant to go to the hospital, because even though they said COVID tests would be free, COVID care should be free, you see the stories of people leaving the hospital with $1 million bill. Have you seen those stories? I have. So we'll see. I still don't put Trump out to pasture. I still think he could shrink that lead that Biden has. I still think Biden could screw it up. I still think 3 debates, one-on-one, Joe Biden versus Trump, could be a disaster for Joe. I think Trump could close a 10 to 12-point gap pretty quickly, and it be a toss-up on Election Day. But it is very sad what this country has been left with. And that's why it's so important. And I think Bernie was right, for all his faults. It's not only at the top, it starts from the ground up. And getting these numbers, getting more numbers in Congress is the first step to blocking the corporate Democrat legislation, their agenda, but also starting to seize the message. There's strength in numbers, and if progressives get more numbers, we got Cori Bush her race is coming up. Jennifer Perlman, her race is coming up. You get a real block of 15 to 20 Medicare for all, Green New Deal, progressives. You actually could start to do some things. If they don't do some things with those kind of numbers, if they keep calling Pelosi Mama Bear with those kind of numbers, then we need to burn the whole house down. If the progressives with the numbers don't really commit to real change, then all bets are off. All right, folks, I'll actually be back probably at 4:30. I'm thinking I'm going to do my interview with Lee Camp live. So you could come back around 4:30 Eastern, depending on if he could actually do it at 4:30. I'm kind of right now in flux about what time I'm interviewing him, waiting to hear back. But I'll be back at 4:30 Eastern time live. So check back for me to go live with Lee Camp. We'll be talking about a lot more things than the elections. He's been doing great reporting on the police brutality, obviously the weapons industry, and all the great things Lee usually covers, and this silent depression we're talking about. So definitely come back, hour and a half. Talk to you then. Oh, one more reminder. Members call tonight, so sign up as a member. Statuscoup.com/join. You can become a member for as low as $5 a month. Statuscoup.com/join. We will have our members call at 7:30 Eastern Time. That's 7:30 Eastern Time, 4:30 Pacific. I will see you in an hour and a half. Bye-bye.